So the Porsche 718 Cayman and Boxster end date is only for the EU. So this is something I've been sort of sharing in sort of recent videos. Basically, essentially, it's around how they're discontinuing this model. And I'm going to go through the details about why it's not actually affecting the likes of the UK, which is where I'm based, and the rest of the world. And yeah, explain around about that. But yeah, if you're not familiar about this story, it's essentially new cybersecurity laws have come into place, and the 718 Cayman and Boxster are essentially outdated models, and they're not able to work with these kind of rules anymore. And actually, I'll go straight on to like a spokesman that came to this car magazine from the UK. And basically, they said, we'll continue to sell all 718 Boxster and Cayman models in the UK as long as they are built by the factory. And then they said we sell a few thousand in the UK each year. So that's going to go ahead. And if you go onto the UK website, yeah, it's all free to order a 718 Boxster or Cayman. They're all still here. They're all still able to basically purchase and to run through, which is great. That's what people want. Now, I've had a little check. And I've checked on the German configurator. Now this is translated into English, and you can see and obviously Germany being part of the EU, it says sold out, which is a big shame. Obviously the home of Porsche, and they can't even make it. I'm really interested to know everyone's thoughts. This is a community channel. I'll share updates as this kind of goes along. And I've been fascinated by a lot of your comments around this. I feel like cars like this really do sort of like set the brand apart. And yeah, it's a huge loss. It's a huge change in what's happening. And if you quote what that person said, as long as they're built by the factory, well, if you can't, if it's not going to be available in Germany anymore, as you can see here with the sold out, this is the German configurator with the sold out. Now the sold out says that. Now, I don't speak German, but luckily, if you actually click on the model, I've got it translated into English. So if we actually click on it through, it says right at the top right-hand corner here, the selected model can no longer be ordered as a freely configurable new car. And it just says it just top right-hand corner when you're actually going to go and purchase it. And this is on, the DE, essentially, which is the German country code. So proof that basically all of this is correct. The end date for the Cayman and Boxster is essentially for all countries in the EU. It's just not going to work from the 1st of July 2024. That's the date. Let me find it here. There we go. 1st of July 2024. You can't get one. And I think actually that's going to be potentially the start of the end for the UK and the rest of the world. Although they will keep them from the time being, it's got to be viable for Porsche to kind of keep this going. And with Porsche obviously bringing in the electric model soon, that's going to be a big sort of statement in it all. I do think it's kind of like a turning point in what is happening with sports cars, and even the Cayman, it's in the Boxster. They're based on at the end of the day models from past time. 2016 was quite a long time ago. I'm filming this on the 28th of March 2024. It's always what I've sort of like enjoyed. It's just pure driving, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive. You can obviously get it in naturally aspirated form, but I should stress this isn't sort of like an EU or an emissions thing. This is a pure cybersecurity thing. So it's a technological sort of impact. And ultimately that comes down to cost. And, check out my previous videos, which goes into even more depth. This is sort of like another part in the series, the part 3, I would say, as we kind of get to know a little bit more about this story. I've driven lots of them over the years, over the last sort of 10 years, I'd say. Really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the balance. And it's a bit more pure Porsche. Whereas, I'm not quite as sure they've hit the nail on the head with some of their other models that are coming into place. That's just from my perspective. Now, the good news is that on the used market, you can still get one. And that's quite important, particularly if you're in the EU, you can still get them. But even for countries in the UK and the rest of the world, the truth is you're going to be looking on the used car market sooner rather than later. Just in specific on the UK one, I'll show you what current models are up for sale and what kind of prices are as well. Because to be honest with you, you look at the prices of this, the 718 Cayman starts from 51,800. That's the base 2 litre in the UK. You've got the Style Edition, which is 57,800, the Cayman S 61,800, and the GTS is 75,000. You've then got the Boxster models all shown here, going up to similar sort of prices as well, 54 all the way up to 75. GT4 RS, which I have driven. Check that out on my channel. I'll leave it in, just in the top right-hand corner. What a stunning car. And then the Spider RS. Ironically, the Cayman here, the Cayman GT4 RS and the Spider RS are unaffected from in the EU because they're limited run numbers. So in the EU, you can still essentially order the GT4 RS, and the Spider RS, you just can't order a base, which I found quite ironic because it actually makes these cars more limited at this time than the limited models. So that's just where we live in essentially at the moment. But yeah, let me just essentially show you a little bit of what kind of models you can get on Auto Trader at the moment. So specifically on 718 Cayman models in the UK at the moment on today's date, I mean, you can get a 67 plate 718 Cayman 54,000 miles for, well, yeah, only 26,950, which sounds pretty good to be fair, 29,950. So basically high 20s to £30,000 for these models. And if we go a little bit high to low as well, just to get the top end of the market, yeah, GT4 RS 180,000, and they're significantly above list in the UK, by the way, just because of the demand and the fact that you have to order about 20 other Porsches to be able to get one. But yeah, as you can see, you can still get one, and that's important. You know, they will still be around, they will still be knocking about, and it's the same kind of in the UK too. And it's also the exact same for kind of the Boxster variant as well. If we just quickly check on the 718 Boxster, well, high to low, yeah, well, 100 grand for a Boxster, 98 grand for a GTS. Wow, that must be well spec'd. Yeah, and then low to high, so the cheapest 718 Boxster is again 30,000, 67 plate. These are actually pre-OPF as well. So in the UK, they don't have gas particulate filters. So they actually sound pretty good. I know it's just a 2-litre 4-cylinder, but it's just one of those things. No more Cayman, no more Boxster. How long they're going to last in the UK and the rest of the world, I have my doubts, to be honest. I think it's not going to be that long, although it looks like it'll be longer than the 1st of July. I just can't see the sort of like the business reasons why Porsche would kind of keep this going. That's the thing that kind of strikes in my mind. And what's the reasons for keeping producing these cars? And that's what it says on here. It's like, as long as the factory keeps building them, that's the key. Will the company eventually, they are going to stop building these cars eventually. That's the thing. It will stop being produced. It does sell in low numbers, but it's always been one of those ones like you sell a few for the many. That's the idea. You sell the K, you know, you have that as like your halo, and then you sell 1 million Macans or something like that. And that's basically the idea. But it's interesting actually seeing the actual sort of stats that they say here about the UK. Sales status in the UK is now assured, at least so long as demand in the rest of the world warrants continued production. That's important. If demand in the UK is strong, it doesn't really matter because they're not just going to make a whole model for the UK. It has to be everywhere. And then it actually does say sales rose in 2023 by 13% to 20,500. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's still one of their smallest. You know, they sold 50,000 911s, for example. I personally think, being someone who's, you know, I know a fair amount about the cybersecurity world, yeah, it's important to keep cars safe. It's important to keep them unhackable, as it said here. So the reasons around it are important. And actually, the more that I think about it, the more I think that these kind of laws will sort of potentially go into other regions as well, whether it's the rest of the world sort of takes the approach of what the EU is doing, or certainly the UK, you know, obviously with Brexit. So that's important because obviously cars can get hacked into now. The world has changed completely in cybersecurity sides of things. So it is important that these kind of come into place, but it just will probably speed up the BEV, the battery electric vehicle, 718 Cayman and Boxster. And I will certainly share an update with you guys soon, as and when I hear more. But at the moment, we still get them in the UK and the rest of the world. We won't be able to get them in the EU from the 1st of July 2024. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Plenty more content to come. And I will share another update should we have anything further around the Cayman and the Boxster. Thanks so much for watching, and welcome to the channel if this is the first time you're watching.